So, first off, what external events brought you two into business together?
Oh, yeah. So we used to work together at a agency full time. We worked together for 8+ years on a lot of different clients. We've worked separately and together.
Mhm.
And Courtney has always ran the creative side, and I've always been on the account side. So naturally, we just worked day in and day out together and realized that we could do what we were doing there on our own for different types of clients that we felt more passionate about.
Cool. Did you guys meet there at work?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it started as a work relationship, turned into a friendship, turned into a friendship work relationship.
Yes.
Got a little more serious.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of answers my next question of were you guys planning on working together one day, but were you guys planning on starting a business together? And what was kind of the timeline of that?
Yeah, so we had never, like, this was never our plan to work together. It kind of just fell into place. We would go on coffee walks all the time while we were in work. And again, we would just ideate, like, hey, like, we have these skills. We, are craving something bigger, better for ourselves. What does that look like? And Abby, one day, she's just like, well, like, you can do this and I can do this. You've got the creative side. I've got the, the analytical strategy side. Why don't we just like combine what we do here, but like for our own business? And I looked at her and I was like, wow, that's genius.
Yeah. I feel like of course, and who knows, we still might, but we were like, let's start a coffee shop. Let's create a shirt company. Like, there was a billion ideas. And we actually had a client come to us that turned out to be like the perfect opportunity that we're like, hey, let's just try it and see how it goes. And then there was no going back.
That's so cool. In all of the interviews that I've done, it seems like everybody, like they don't have to force it. Like what it is that they're doing, it's like kind of got aligned right to them. And they're like, oh, I guess this is it. And then it just like goes organically.
Yep.
So cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So what have been some of the benefits of going into business with your best friend?
A lot. I feel like that separation, it's so natural to have like that separation of like work and personal life, but and then when they blend together, sometimes it's confusing and hard. And like for us, it's just like a natural blend of like work in our life and doing the things we love and being able to like, we don't need to switch it on and off. So I'd say that's one of the best things is we can kind of ebb and flow with what's happening in our lives right now.
Right. Yes. Very flexible. We can kind of work when we want, turn it off when we want. We talk literally every day. We're basically married, I would say at this point. So it's just nice to have that flexibility and, to know that you can, if you're, riding and getting going on a project or whatever, you don't need to stop. You can keep going, or you can take a break whenever you want. You're not restricted to, the 9 to 5. So
yeah. Oh, I love that. And that kind of goes into the next question of, having a really special friendship, how do you preserve and maintain that while you're also owning a business together?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that the main thing comes down to the communication part of it. And sometimes the communication can get hard or a little weird, and you have to have those hard conversations. But I would say at the beginning of our business, I think it was kind of hard for us to get to that point where we're like, ooh, I don't necessarily feel comfortable with this, or like, I don't necessarily want to focus on that. I would say at the beginning, it was a little rough, but then we ended up getting a business coach, and she kind of helped us talk through that and like how to manage that. And we've had tough conversations since, but they're not awkward anymore. I wouldn't say like they're pretty easy and like straightforward, but we just gotta.
I think it's very much like, and we tell this too to like a lot of our partnership clients as well, where it's like, just over communicate everything because like we tell each other when we're like going grocery shopping, which might seem silly, but at the same time, like you might be like, I don't know what they're working on right now, or I don't know what they're doing. And then maybe you go into a spiral of being like, well, are they going to do this thing that I think they're going to do? And it's like, just ask and keep the lines of communication open. And as long as you do that, then you know what's going on and you don't feel this like thought constantly like going in your head. So I think that's been kind of our thing. We just over communicate everything, and it works great.
Yeah.
Awesome. I loved the Instagram post that you guys had about that, about the communication. So many good skills. And even outside of a business perspective, like in any friendship or any relationship, I felt like the things that you were saying were so pertinent and I mean, pertainable.
Yeah, for sure.
So then how do you guys navigate challenges, whether it's in your business or between you both, and try to come back stronger from it?
Yeah. We definitely, I mean, communicate. We just talk through them. Honestly, it's kind of like the theme of the story, but I feel like anytime we like hit a roadblock, it's usually like we'll figure out how to navigate the roadblock at that time, but then we'll go back and figure out like, okay, what can we do better next time? Like that was rocky. Like say we had, you know, a new project kicked off that the timeline didn't go how we wanted it to, then we'll figure it out afterwards on how to fix it rather than dwell on the moments. So I think, again, we just talk to each other like before, during, after, at all points, just to make sure that we're both on the same page.
And it's kind of funny because our communication line is literally open from like text messaging to calling to Snapchatting to voice messaging. Like if there's any form of communication out there, we've probably done it. So
and it's back and forth. Like we might start a conversation in Snapchat and then we'll finish in like Google Chat or Hangout.
That's awesome. I love that. Does that ever make it like harder switching between the different platforms, or is it just kind of organic?
I would say sometimes,
like
if we're talking about a project or a deadline or something, and it's in Google Chat versus like our Asana board or something like that, then it's like you're like, oh shoot, I got to go back. I got to figure out what they said. So we could be a little bit better.
We actually use a lot of systems too that obviously help us with that. So that like anything important that's happening, we know like we're going to put that in Asana, or we're going to use Tailwind to help us plan like social. And if we have an idea, we'll put it in there. Like we'll use different tools to make that come to life.
That's awesome. Just like real quick, what are some of your guys' favorite platforms that you do use to communicate or to plan stuff?
Yeah.
Well, obviously Tailwind is right up there at the top. We use that every single day for Instagram and for Pinterest. And then
that's how we navigate everything when it comes to social between the two of us. Because we both kind of have like, I'll do the copy and the captions, and she'll do that visually aesthetic feed and dropping things in. So it's like the perfect collaboration. We also use Asana is like our favorite project management platform. So we both do that. We can assign things to each other in there. So then we both know what each other are doing. So we have priority boards that will be like, here's our weekly priorities for the week. And we both like have line of sight to the stuff happening. So that makes it really, really easy. And then we're like a Google family. So I feel like we just, everything else we use is pretty much Google.
Awesome. So from launching to managing, do you think starting a business with someone else makes it easier or more difficult?
I would 1,000% say easier. Abbey and I both kind of did our own freelancing before we came together and started Duo. So when I was doing design freelance, that was always my goal, was to get out and just have my own business and to do it myself. And I found that was really hard. It's a little lonely because it's just you, and it's, you don't have somebody sitting there motivating you or like constantly pushing you, setting goals together, moving your business forward. So I would say going into business with a partner is a whole lot easier than kind of doing it solo.
Yeah, I feel like naturally, like everyone goes through it when you're running your own business, you naturally feel like you have these really good weeks and high weeks where you're like, I can conquer the world and this is going to be amazing. And then you have those low weeks where you're like, what am I doing? Like, why am I even doing this? And like we balance each other out in that space, because very rarely are we ever both in a low phase. Like one of us can help pull each other out. So it really helps, especially in those early days of running a business when you are questioning a lot more often, like, why am I doing this? You have someone else to like keep pushing you and challenging you and getting you to do that one step further.
I think it also helped a lot because I've got more of the creative side and she's got more of like that analytical side. So it, some of the things that she wouldn't necessarily want to work on that you need for your business is what I get excited about and want to work on, and vice versa. So that helped a lot.
Yeah, that's something that really stood out to me about you guys, was that you're very like left brain, right brain. And it's like, wow, like that is why I feel so many businesses don't have that advantage, because when you only have one person, you're so limited to just that one person. But when you have those balancing skill sets, I mean, it can really set you up with such a great foundation.
Yeah. It's fun. I also think it opens the door too for like, naturally your business partner, you want to partner with other businesses as well. And I feel like even though like us already being a partnership, it naturally creates more partnerships, honestly, like in connections with other businesses and opportunities to work together. So it's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so fun. You're making me want to get into business with my
Yeah, right.
We have to call her after this. So what tips do you guys have for successfully starting a business with someone else? I mean, I'm assuming communication will be very important, but anything else too?
Yeah. I think assigning roles, like literally, even if it might seem so silly to be like, your job is to do this. And I think just like the clarity and like defining the roles of who owns what is so important, because there's so many things to do and so many hats to wear. Like, even though there's two of us, it still feels like there's double the duties of things that we have to do. So, like clearly assigned roles really, really helps with that. And I think also like breaking it down into tiny steps, like it can feel so overwhelming just to start a business, because you're like, oh, we need all of this stuff and we can't go live until all this stuff is done. But it's like, we just took it one step at a time. Like today, let's buy the LLC. Tomorrow we'll secure the domain. The next day we'll start an Instagram. It's like, just do things step by step, and then naturally you'll get there, rather than just being like, I have to do this all, but I have to wait until I'm ready. So
it makes it a lot less overwhelming at the beginning, and then taking those baby steps with all of those little things, it's fun, because you're like, oh my gosh, we have the LLC, now let's secure that domain. So then the next day, you secure the domain. So every day it's just this added addition of fun, and you can slowly see your business grow. And it makes it, like Abbey said, a lot less overwhelming.
I love that. So like little steps every day, instead of like, let's just do all of this at once.
And I'd say like we started our business without anything, like at the very beginning. Like we took on a client and we like, I honestly don't even know what we did for our contract at the very first client. Like, I'm sure we just did something in a Word document, but like we did nothing, and we just started and like naturally progressed into something else. So like you don't need a website, you don't need an Instagram, you don't even need an LLC right off the bat. Like just get started and go from there.
I love that. That gives you like the permission and the space you need to even see like what direction to go in, and maybe like tweak it a little bit before you launch.
So
absolutely.
I'd say also for us, like where we've landed now, like we've landed solely on organic marketing is like what we do and what we focus on. And when we first started, that wasn't the case. Like we touched everything, because that's what we did in our old agency way. And we naturally progressed into the space of like, we don't pay for ads for our business, and we're still growing, and we're growing through organic methods. And so we want to teach our clients how to do that too. But had we started 3 years ago and said we'd do that, like we wouldn't have even known that opportunity existed.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I love that. Okay. So I read on your guys' website. So when you launched Duo Collective, one of you just had a baby. Which one had the baby?
Yeah, that was me.
And one was remodeling your house. So I'm guessing that is you, Abbey. So with what you know now, I mean, would you guys go back and do it all over again? And if so, like, what would you do differently?
Yeah, we see this like a lot with our clients too, is like a lot of people are like new moms, or their family dynamics are changing, or just like or a big life shift. They're just getting married, or like something's happening, but there's like a big shift in their life where they want to reprioritize things that are happening. And so, and they realize that like work isn't what they were loving anymore. And so like that kind of naturally happened for me too. Like, I don't know, it was just, I was 4 months, I just came back from maternity leave, and I was like, I don't love this. Like if I'm leaving my baby at home, I want to be doing something I actually love. So, I think we both say that we would do it a billion times over again. Like it's we wish we would have done it sooner.
Yeah.
Like, which everyone says that. I feel like everyone says that when you start a business. You wish you would have done it sooner.
I love that.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I was very curious about this, but what's your process individually and as a team for like when you're creating courses or even when you're coaching? Like, do you guys collaborate on it or is it like pretty individualized?
So it kind of goes both ways, I would
Yeah.
say. And it kind of depends on like what course or what project we're working on. But like we said before, I'm the creative side, she's the strategy side. And when it comes to like our actual services that we provide, Abbey is definitely like the SEO genius nerd. And I dabble in it, but I don't know nearly as much as her. And then I am the branding nerd. And I create all the visuals and the brand assets and the style guides. And then when it comes to social, we are actually, I would say 50-50 as far as the strategy, the creative, and all of that goes for those packages.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll do a lot of like the initial research and like the SEO research and the analytical stuff in advance of a lot of our strategies. Courtney will then like build the creative that like reads into all of that. And then we kind of like come together to like deliver the final product. So, so yeah, it really is like a collaboration of sorts, depending on like Court said, like some of our client projects, like the really SEO heavy ones are way more on my side. And then some of the really heavy branding ones are way more on Courtney's side. So it kind of, and naturally, the clients that we have, it kind of balances each other out actually, like, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. And the funny thing is though, like we never send anything off to a client without getting the eyes of the other person on it. So, she'll send me SEO stuff. I'll send her branding stuff and we'll make sure that we're both aligned to everything before we present it to the client.
Yeah.
So
yeah, which is really good to get, like you said, like we have both sides of the brain. So sometimes it's like, even though no one would trust me to design anything, like I shouldn't design anything, like occasionally I can bring a different light, and same thing goes for Courtney. So
yeah, that's so cool. And just curious, like what are each of your guys' favorite things to do in the business? Like your favorite tasks or parts of it?
I know what Courtney says.
I would say mine is social. I love the social world. And, when Reels came around, I was like, oh my gosh, we have to start doing these Reels and figure this out. What does that look like? Obviously being in Tailwind, every week and making sure the grid looks quote unquote as perfect as I can make it. So I would say, yeah, social is my baby and the thing that I like to focus on the most.
Yeah. I love to create like content for like SEO focused content for our business. I'd say like blogging and like finding partnerships and finding those opportunities. Like that's kind of one of my favorite things. I feel like if I can sit down and just like work on and I feel like we love our clients to death, but if we can sit down and work on our own brand, like it brings us so much joy to like make sure that we've like slotted time in our calendar to focus on us.
That's so cool. I love both of that. And just saying, like your reels were great on.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that you guys are doing that
as best we can.
We do. We have found that like this recently we started doing reel days. So we'll do one reel day a month and we'll just spend the whole day creating content, which then makes life so much easier moving forward, which and those days tend to be fun, exhausting, but fun.
They are really fun. Yeah.
That is such a good idea to just like one day a month and then you can do it as you go through. Do you guys do that with pictures too? Like taking pictures for your website and stuff?
Yep, we do.
Yeah. Yes, we sure do. So yeah, we do. I don't know how many. We kind of lucked out. My mom is actually our photographer, so she is amazing. So we probably do like 3 or 4 shoots a year. Which is just fun. Then you have a breakout of content across different seasons and whatever's going on in your life. So
that's super cool. And your pictures, they look so good. I mean, your website looks so good. I can tell you.
Thank you. It's, we're going to be launching a new website here soon, so it's going to look way better than it does now.
So exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a lot of hard work and effort that goes into it, but
yes, there is.
Yeah. I mean, I was very impressed by the website that you have. Like, there's so much great information. Like, it's so easy to use and navigate, the colors, pictures.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So what advice would you guys give to someone who's wanting to venture into business ownership, but feels like life is too busy? I guess we kind of touched on this earlier, but
Yeah.
dive in a little deeper.
Yeah, I would say that life is always going to be too busy.
Mhm.
There's never going to be a time where you slow down. I think we're all guilty of being like, oh, well, next week I'm going to start that workout routine. And next week I'm going to, do this and that. And then next week comes and goes. And you're like, well, shoot, I didn't do it.
Mhm.
You're going to do that with, starting a business too. So I would just say start. You just have to, in baby steps, like we said earlier, you just have to take these tiny steps to get there. So you don't overwhelm yourself or like scare yourself out of doing it, and to just do it. You just have to jump on the opportunity and do it.
I think like setting dates and deadlines for yourself, like we do that for our own business too. Like we have to set deadlines for when we're going to do something because you can constantly push stuff off. So you set a date, and even after that or before you do it, tell someone else who isn't your significant other or like someone you talk to daily. Like tell someone else you're doing this, because then it gives you some more accountability to follow through. So whether that might be like a post on your own social page or like just something just to say like, hey, I'm going to do this. And sometimes that just gives you like the nudge you need and the reminder and the accountability to like follow through.
And I would say, don't let anybody scare you. Don't let people sit there and tell you that you can't do it or that starting your own business is way too hard. You'll never succeed, because that's just not true. Like we said earlier, we both wish we would have done this years ago and quit our full-time gigs years ago. But you just have to trust in yourself and that you can do it, and to just go forward with it.
Yeah. I think a lot of times we're too worried about what other people will think of us. Like, what if I fail, or what my like old coworkers will think I'm a fraud, or like you just think that people, I don't know, you just worry too much about what other people think rather than just taking the leap and being like, who cares? Like what we should worry about more is like what we think of ourselves, right? So like if in the future you are going to regret not taking that opportunity, like that feeling is more important than what so-and-so from 5 years ago thinks of what you're doing now. So
oh, absolutely. I love that. You guys are so wise. I have a follow-up question too. So would you say that workload, it's about the same, like co-owning a business as it was with your full-time jobs, or is it more so owning the business?
I think it's more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I mean, when you own your own business, like you literally, there's so much to do and there's always something more to do, and the to-do list never stops, really.
And you want to keep growing, so you keep adding things to that list. You keep setting big goals that you want to reach someday. And you're so passionate about it. It's your baby. So you could work on it all day long and not feel burnt out. You're still like super excited at the end of the day when you close your laptop. So I would say it's just because you're so much more passionate about it, and it's something that you love, that you could literally just work all the time.
You have to remember to shut it off.
Sometimes we have to remind ourselves to like have a personal life too.
Take a break.
Because we love it so much.
I love that. And I mean, even though the workload's more, at least it's something that you're passionate about, and it's working to fuel you and the business that you care about. And I'm sure that makes a huge difference.
And the workload is what we make it at the end of the day, right? Like we can give ourselves permission to make the workload less. So like, although it is and always will feel like more, it's like we also have that permission to tone it down.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So from a business perspective, what made you guys decide to use Tailwind?
Efficiency. I would say that's number one. We started off with just doing the manual posting every day, and that got to be so hard, especially with me doing, the creative visual side of it and kind of coming up with the ideas and then having her write the content for it. We would just be kind of bothering each other every day about just one Instagram post, which got to be a little ridiculous. And then it's hard to plan. You can't really plan ahead. So I would say it's the efficiency and the planning And because I'm a freak about what our our feed looks like, I can see what it looks like, you know, a month in advance. So I would say, you know, for me, those are the big things that Tailwind has offered us that we have absolutely just loved. And just kind of setting and forgetting it. You know, obviously we know when it's going to go live and when it's going to post from an Instagram perspective. So, you know, we just jump on our phone, we engage, we comment, we chat, and but Tailwind did like all the hard work for us.
Yeah, for sure. And in addition to that, like Pinterest being a search engine and in and of itself, like from an SEO perspective, was a huge priority for us and our business. So I think that is the one platform where you do not need to be present every day, and you can literally go in and schedule a month in advance and then forget about it. And it's like magical. Like it's magical. And like we just, even from like looking from an analytical perspective, it drives 60 to 80% of our traffic to our website. So it's like crazy how you can just do all of that. Like as a small business owner, you need that time to like take the pressure off yourself of all the day-to-day activities. And that's the one platform where you're kind of allowed to do that.
I love that. I mean, that's what we kind of market ourselves as, is like being your marketing assistant. So that
For real.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is best
Yes, a very cheap marketing assistant, because you can buy a marketing assistant for that.
Right.
Well, and you guys do great with your feed. So whatever you do, just keep doing.
Well, thank you.
So what's your favorite Tailwind feature and why?
You go.
I was just going to say Pinterest overall. I feel like that just is like, it's just a set and forget it thing that it just like, when I see that feed populated on the right-hand side, it's amazing. And I'd probably say like, just even from like a feed layout perspective, being able to like actually view your full Instagram of like what your feed's going to look like is kind of beautiful. So
yeah, I would say, that's what it is for me. It's just seeing what the feed looks like kind of in the future. And then I do love that they give you hashtag recommendations too, and that you can like flip through and look at the different hashtags, because sometimes hashtag research in and of itself can get really heavy and it's a lot. So it's nice that they have that in there as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So what's next for Duo Collective?
Oh gosh,
everything.
So many things. Well, like I said earlier, we are getting close to launching a new website, which if everybody thinks our website looks great now, I laugh because it's going to look so much better once we launch. And then we have hopes to start a podcast. I'm not really sure if that's going to happen yet this year, but if not this year, definitely the beginning of next.
We need to follow our own advice and put it on the calendar as our start date, and then that'll happen. So,
Oh yeah, you guys definitely have the voices for podcasts.
Thank you. We have actually been told that a couple of times by some clients, which is so weird.
Yeah, it's fun. We do a lot of like video recordings to like share stuff too with our clients. So it's funny. We do get that occasionally. She gets that way more than me. But.
Yeah. Have a soothing voice, I guess.
Yes. We also just launched like a beta round of an SEO group coaching program that launched this week. So it's focused on copywriters and web designers, helping them include SEO in like their packages that they're offering to their clients, because it's starting to be a non-negotiable when it comes to that work. We just started week 1, so we're super excited, and hopefully in 2022 we'll be opening that up to everyone. So.
That's so cool. You guys are doing all the steps, all the things that you need to build. And that's
getting there. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day.
Yeah,
you too. Thank you. Bye.